Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about industry best practices in the retirement plan advising industry. I'm very excited about this topic today. I'm joined by Mr. Chris Thixton, and my name is Zach Allen. I'm the CEO and CIO here at Pinch Consultants. Chris, who tell the folks a little bit about your background and who you are.
Hey, I'm one of the principals here at PCI. Have been here for over 25 years now.
Yeah. So you know a thing or two.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, so the topic for today, we've got a piece on our website to accompany this, but the topic for today is all about industry best practices. And I think we have some interesting perspectives here that maybe you haven't heard from other places. But the main topic for today is record keepers, advisors, consultants, industry publications. The list goes on. There's constantly new things being thrown out there to retirement plan fiduciaries, to plan sponsors. Chris, where do retirement plan committees typically encounter some of these new ideas that the industry is throwing at them?
Well, obviously, as you and I have discussed, there's going to be things that come in publications that fiduciary committees are reading. As you know, I speak at a lot of different conferences, attend those, and I'll jump into other sessions. So there'll be a lot of things that are promoted at industry conferences that employers are attending, and just other think tanks, groups.
Sure, right. And I imagine some of these ideas that are thrown around, some of them are probably good. Some of them are maybe not so good.
Well, let's define good. There are legitimate issues that come up from participants. I mean, they have questions, and a lot of those questions are very legitimate. Now, the industry goes, aha, and they may seek to capitalize on a legitimate question. It's just, is the service or the product that the industry is bringing forth, is it truly in the best interest of the participants? And knowing how to get through what's really being offered.
Right. Well, that's exactly the next question when it comes to, retirement plan committee or fiduciary evaluating a number of features for the plan or new services or what have you. What does ERISA really say? How should a fiduciary evaluate some new product or feature within a retirement plan?
All right, so let's go back to ERISA itself, right? This applies each and every time, no matter what a committee's doing. First, at the very global top level, fiduciary is to act solely in the best interest of the participants for the exclusive purpose of providing benefits. So if we put that hat on first, what's best for the participants, right? It's a retirement benefit. We need to provide that. Then the committee can't just say, well, I'm going to do my best. No, ERISA requires that they use skill, care, prudence, diligence in going about making decisions. It's not a low level, not a low hurdle to clear. It's a very high level. Then you have to make determinations of whether things are necessary, if it's reasonable, right? It goes on from there. But again, is this best for participants, not best for what the industry is promoting?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe what you're telling me is, and I'm concerned because this is news to me, there's no safety in crowds just because everybody's doing it. Doesn't mean that I'm okay and I'm a good stead at the end of the day.
No, and in fact, there's things that get brought up, and they can become very popular. For example, I was at a conference just a few months ago and stuck around for the following day and attended some different sessions. And there was probably 600 people there, and they all got excited about a topic, right, that was being promoted in the industry, centered around some education and some other things for participants. And everybody jumped on board. The idea was neat. That's a good place to start, but it's a poor place to stop.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good point. If you're new fiduciary on the committee, I mean, you got to start somewhere. and seeing what everybody else is doing is maybe the right way to start.
Well, what was interesting, I mean, here I'm attending several of these sessions, and the industry is really good at promoting and coming up with a compelling angle, and in fact, I'm going, oh, that's really good. I may sign up for it. Like, no,
Right.
no, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So we really do have to dive into it as fiduciaries and apply these principles and explore and dig, and not just stop at what's popular or exciting.
Sure.
Or what's new, shiny.
Right. I always, I'm a little self-conscious of, being perceived as the grouch all the time, because there are some things that are out there that fiduciaries need to be aware of and be concerned about, and, not jump both feet in to ideas. If we were to try to give the devil its due a little bit, have there been any good things that have happened in the industry over the past, 5 or 10 years? Any new trends that, that have maybe helped fiduciaries work in the best interest of participants?
Oh, absolutely. I think one thing that's come up over the past years are some of the benchmarking data that's available. It used to be, committees didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's groups that are putting together legitimate data pools to provide information to committees in which to begin their benchmarking. That's been very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That would be one example that just comes top of mind.
Sure. Yeah. And then as far as maybe some of the new things that, if I'm a fiduciary, I'm going to some of these conferences, I'm reading the industry publications. What are some of those things that fiduciaries are wrestling with when it comes to their plan right now that the industry's, putting in front of them to consider about their retirement plan?
That brings to mind a couple things. So just at some recent conferences, listening to people, most employers that show up at these conferences, they care about their employees. They want to do good for them. But there's a consensus that, well, we need to educate people more, right? We need to give them, new tools. Like, oh, okay. Because participants will ask, well, am I saving enough? Where do I put my money? Am I on track? Those are legitimate questions. But the industry has brought forth, things like managed accounts, in-plan income. In fact, at this most recent conference, I attended 2 or 3 different sessions on alternative investments. Executive order.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we've got this new, stuff on alternative investments. Well, first of all, alternative investments are not new. They're not new in plans. They've just been given light. So you've got the industry trying to find ways to package things to bring in to sell into 401k plans. And, as you know, I mean, we go back, 20 years ago dealing with plans that we're helping. And day one, you find out, well, that 401k plan actually has a soccer field in it. And another one had a duck blind, and another one a painting. I think those would be called alternative investments, right? And they bring forth a lot of challenges in terms of the valuation and things that ERISA requires. So the alternative investments, it's not new. It's just being repackaged, and can we get a piece of those monies?
Sure.
In-plan income, all right? Oh, steady income. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people, will I outlive my 401k assets? Well, in-plan income, is annuities in plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Relabeled it, get a piece of that action. Again, the issue isn't for participants, where do I put my money? How am I going to be prudent about this? It's, do the committees go through a good fiduciary process to say, is that product, is that service actually going to serve our participants well? Or is there a better way to solve that issue that the participants have,
Mm-hmm.
and not with that particular product
Sure.
or industry solution?
Right. Well, that's exactly, kind of the question that was knocking around in my mind. We talked about the standards that ERISA set out for fiduciaries, and how they're supposed to act. Are there any more principles you can think of to help, maybe questions internally to ask, if I'm on a committee, do we offer the in-plan annuity? Do we offer the alternative investments? Do we, go out and add more education? Are there any, ERISA, founded principles to help me evaluate those options?
Maybe one that I would cite would be, the process in which you make a decision is important, right? That's been tested, but there isn't a checklist. ERISA doesn't give a checklist. They say, listen, you have to do what's best for the participants. They hold fiduciaries to a very high standard, but they don't give a checklist. But practically speaking, right, if you're going to consider a new product or a solution, it's probably not going to be best to make your decision after attending a session at a conference led by the provider of said product or service. Mm-hmm. There needs to be some evaluation from someone that is independent, that doesn't act in the best interest of the industry, but truly the participant. And ERISA says if you lack that knowledge, you can delegate that to somebody, but that somebody shouldn't be those that have the conflict of interest.
Well, great stuff, Chris. Thank you so much for some of your insights as committees wrestle with some of these ideas and some of these new features and service offerings. Some of them, I think a lot of them have some benefit, right, for participants. It's often not a question of is there some benefit or some use case out there. It's it's weighing the pros and cons of the benefit versus the cost and what truly is in the best interest of participants. So there's things to wrestle with today, and there'll be more stuff down the road. But thank you for your time, welcome, Chris. And if you all would like to read more, we have more information on our website, and of course, feel free to connect with us there and through the social medias for more information. But thank you so much, and
thanks, Zach.
Have a good one.
Thank you.